So, hi, I'm Jeff. As it says here, if you know me from the internet or working with me, then you probably call me Teale and not Jeff, but you can call me whatever you like. I'm easy that way. I'm head of developer experience at Altvest, which is a fintech company based just across the river, like literally just across the river, and same building as Leaf Orlando over there. I don't want to talk too much about Altvest. It's a great company. If you want a job, come talk to me, but that's it, right? It's a fintech company, I didn't mention that. Good. So this title is a lie, right? So this is more of a target for myself than a promise to you, okay? So I have a much bigger presentation about DevX that lasts over an hour. And I gave myself sort of a challenge, and because I've got half an hour to speak.
Sorry.
Oh, here we go. Because I've got half an hour to speak, I thought I'd try and target 20 minutes, and there's some chance that I might do it in 40, but we'll see. Let's go. So it's late. I've been working all day, traveling all day. I don't want to do this on my own. That's no fun. So I'm going to bring in a few people to help me. So we don't have straw men, we're diverse. We have straw folks. Two roles. We have somebody who will be the well-meaning engineer, and the well-meaning engineer is currently taking photos of me. She's standing over there. Yeah. So the well-meaning engineer, the only thing you have to remember, Pauline, is that if you see something written in orange, you say,
I speak in orange.
very good. And we have the well-meaning sales director, who's also looking at his phone right now.
Sending pictures.
And all you need to remember is, if you see something in purple, you say,
I speak in purple.
very good.
Do I have to stand up?
You don't have to stand up.
Oh,
Just
okay.
sit
I
where you
was
like.
going to act and stuff.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. So then the third group is everyone else in the room. Every single one of you. Very good. Pay attention to that. Remember that. You'll be fine. So, okay. Imagine you, the people speaking in red, are the CTO of a tech company. And you've just heard about this thing called DevX, which is suddenly getting very popular, and you think your company should do it for no apparent reason, right? And you've pulled in your dream team. You've pulled in your well-meaning sales director. You've pulled in your well-meaning engineer, who's absent. And then you've pulled in me for some reason, who knows? Okay, so together what we're going to do is build a DevX function in our company. How should we go about that? Thank you, good idea. Right, so the first thing we've come across is the most famous quote of all in the whole of the DevX world from a guy called Serpo. So every company has a developer experience, but not every company has a developer experience team. Great, nice deep piece. Okay, so let's get a definition of DevX based on that. Definition number 0, the purpose of DevX is to have a DevX team. Sounds good, presentation over. Huh? Okay. Thank you, a bit more commitment, come on.
No, he's still
Good. So I'll accept that from you, we're all friends here. Okay, but let's look for something more meaningful. Here's a much longer quote. Developer experience refers to how easy or difficult it is for a developer to perform essential tasks needed to implement a change. A positive developer experience would mean that these tasks are relatively easy for the team. Sounds pretty good. Microsoft GitHub definition of developer experience. Sounds great. What does it mean? DevX makes developers work easy. Good. What is that? In the presentation? I don't think so. What do you think?
Too broad.
Thank you. Okay, so what do we do now? Okay. Straw folks' expectations not be in the room. We'll see how this works out. I'll just be Pauline for a second. So, Pauline might say, DevX should focus on providing tools and libraries to support engineers. Okay. What about you, this well-meaning sales director? What do you think DevX should do?
DevX sollte sich konzentrieren auf, you said I should speak German, right?
No, it's important that you can speak German, but not now.
DevX should focus on providing world-class personal support to our customers.
This all sounds okay. So definition number 2, DevX provides tools and libraries and customer support to engineers. And also pizza.
Sorry.
That's all right.
all that fit is paying off.
Wow.
What?
Who are the customers? Good, good, good. So how should I know who I'm supposed to be serving in this DevX thing that I want to build? Yeah, okay. Let's see if we can raise their attention. Let's see. Oh, the well-meaning engineer.
Yes. DevX should clearly be internally focused. I actually believe this too.
Ah, very good.
Like personally.
Okay, well-meaning sales director.
DevX should clearly be externally focused.
Okay. So it seems we're talking about different things here, right? You personally believe that DevX should be internally focused, and you personally believe, I don't know what you personally believe, but you said it, so I'm going to assert that.
There's an elephant in the room. It's behind you. Oh, Deborah.
Where? Oh,
It's behind you.
It's
oh,
behind you.
stop that. Okay, let's talk about DevRel, right? So there are two views, as far as I'm aware, of the relationship between DevRel and DevX. Right? So they broadly come from a background of whether you started out on this journey from a marketing background, or if you started out on this journey from an engineering background. So here's one quote. This is from the literal book, Developer Relations. Which is quite a good book, but it says, around the core of developer experience, there are three main areas of practice in developer relations: developer marketing, developer education, and developer success. There's a nice diagram that goes with this, but I don't have it here, but it just basically has like a tree with developer experience at the core and these other activities around it. So they're saying developer experience is a subset of developer relations. Another quote from the other side says that developer experience is a more accurate umbrella term than developer relations because it encompasses more responsibilities than are generally bucketed under DevRel. So exactly the opposite point of view.
DevX is broader than DevRel.
Oh.
DevX is part of DevRel.
Oh. So definition number 3. DevX is a field in which we mainly talk about what DevX is. Good. Didn't laugh, so it can't be.
Isn't DevX like UX for engineers?
I'll read this part again. So user experience defined as a special aspect of customer experience that's distinct for software. Okay. And so is DevX, perhaps. Except that some UX people say it's exactly the other way around. That is, CX is a special case of UX for customer experience, and DevX is a special case of UX for developers.
Oh my God, you want me to say that? What the heck does that say?
Just say it.
Gottfried Coro Mandel Zwergeland Senti. Is that perfect? Thank you.
Very
Thank
good.
you so much.
And the well-meaning sales director?
Geoffrey Teale.
Very good. That's correct. Most Germans would say, in the first time seeing that word, would say Geoffrey Teale. Both of those two words mean the same thing, my name. One's just a literal translation into German.
Gottfried Coro Zwergeland
Thank you,
Senti.
Julius.
Okay.
Yeah, you just say that.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to speak German.
That's not real German.
that is real German.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Gottfried is the modern German form of the ancient German name Geoffrey.
Nice.
And Coromandel Zwergeland is a very specific kind of teal. Teals are kind of dark. Anyway, what do we take from that? We'll see. So it turns out that what's easy is subjective and context specific. And that means that DevX isn't UX in the sense that most people mean. If I put a UX designer in a room on their own and told them to deliver a great developer experience, they wouldn't know where to start. I've worked with UX designers on developer tools, got great results, but you don't get there just by applying the same rules as UX. So I'd say that in the context of DevX, UX is a part of it, but it's not all of it. There's no way that DevX is just UX for developers.
another money. One
Oh, no.
So, all in again.
What's the scope of DevX work?
So yeah, what is the scope? What do we do? So from my experience, actually, DevX encompasses all of these things. And this is huge, right? Software engineering, best practices, UX and HCI, product management, support, technical writing, training, advocacy, marketing, all of these activities, right? Definition number 4 is that we have some vague scope which is shared with other teams, because nobody can do all of those things on their own. And sometimes it involves customers, sometimes it involves internal engineers, but rarely both. Just from personal experience, I'll tell you that I've been working in 3 jobs where I've had the title DevX engineer or head of DevX now. 2 of those have been internally focused, 1 of those has been externally focused. Anyway, is that the end? No, of course it isn't.
Jeff, what do you actually do?
Mostly stand around here talking. So what we actually do in my tribe and in the previous teams I've worked in is analyze customers' needs, build software documentation and other artifacts that meet those needs, define and refine and document the processes around that, and support those software artifacts and processes.
But that could be any engineering team.
Good.
Nothing easy.
Yes, great, the high energy. So definition number 5, DevX is just good software engineering. I actually personally believe that. But it's not the definition we're going to end up with. So where are we?
That's true.
Yeah, I've just spent several minutes talking to you and I've told you basically nothing is true and nothing is good and nothing explains anything. So let me tell you what I actually think. So both of our straw folks, our well-meaning engineer and our well-meaning salesperson, are, as it says, well-meaning, they have good intentions, but they put way too much emphasis on particular parts of it. And the reason they put that emphasis there is because of their background and their preferences. Okay? Pop quiz, just for the well-meaning engineer and for the well-meaning sales director. 60% of people prefer one model of customer service. What is it?
Pass. You should know this as a sales director.
One model of customers. I have no idea what this means.
Customers always right. Oh, customers always right.
Customers king? No. What?
Okay, no, the answer is online self-service. According to American Express Customer Service Barometer, which is one of the most important studies in customer service world, people strongly prefer doing stuff on their own online to talking to other human beings. It's not intuitive, but it's true. That's how human beings behave. What percentage of people will take their business elsewhere rather than seek further support after a poor experience? 80%. You got another?
10%?
40%.
All over the place. It's good.
I would.
So the number that American Express say is 33%. However, this number is trending upwards over time. And in a more recent survey from Accenture, they say 48%. I go with this because it's the conservative number and it's the more recognized number. But dates from 2017, that number, so quite old now. How many people in this room use my football score predictions game? 7% of the room. I'm not doing that.
That's like 100 divided by 17 people.
It's a very simple answer. It's 1. It's me. Okay. And the reason is because I don't tell anyone about it. Right? It's just for me and my family. I don't do any kind of marketing work around that. I don't promote it. It's there. You can find it. It's on the internet. And no one uses it. So surprise, engineers are people too. They behave in these ways. Right? It's an important point. It's a really important point. So the sales director is wrong. I'm sorry, but you are. Right? Placing too much emphasis on personal support. It's probably because in sales directors' experience, they spend a lot of time talking to people. It's really important to them. It's really important to have those relationships. It's not what people want. Okay. And the engineer forgot that they could do all the wonderful coding, build all the best tools in the world, but they don't tell anyone about them. They don't explain them to people, and people can't use them. Nobody will use them. And all those dichotomies before, all of this, is it internal, external? Is it DevRel? Is it DevX? Is it all meaningless, right? It's just talk, just fluff around the outside. It doesn't help you get anywhere. So what are the actual goals of a DevX team? This is, from my opinion, right? So firstly, you want to attract engineers. Either customers or the people who work for us, doesn't really matter. Okay? Because we want to work with the best people, right? We want to work with the best customers, we want to work with the best engineers in our company to make ourselves productive. Okay, we want to make engineers happy to work with our software, right? And why do we want that? Oh, because we care about them. We want them to know how lovely. We want to reduce lag and effort for engineers because we don't want to waste people's time, right? It's all very nice. We make our product as self-service as possible, right? And why do we do that? Because 60% of people prefer it. Okay. And we help our customers reach their goals because, you know, customer success is our success. We love this stuff.
Okay, Pete, what do you really want?
Good. What do I really want? Well, like I said, secret evil goals of DevX. I do want to attract engineers, customers to work with me, whichever, because it makes the money printer go brrr, right? That's how I get, right now, I sell APIs to people. I don't do it directly, that's what my company does, right? So I want to get engineers to engage in that and like it. I also want to get engineers to come and work for me and build this stuff because that's what I need to make the money come in. Right? I want to make engineers happy to work with our software because that also makes it go brrr. It means they stay with us, either working for us or being our customers. I want to reduce lag and effort for engineers because this is the defined behavior of engineers, right? If you think about software development, what's the thing that you hate most in your day? Is it the testing loop? Is it the bit where you have to deploy for the cloud and it takes 20 minutes? Is it in the old days, the compiler? All of these things are things that engineers will find a way to work around. Whether that means they have to change the direction of the company to do it, they'll put immense amounts of energy into that rather than actually trying to improve it, or they just want to get around this problem because it's the thing that frustrates them. Don't be the thing that frustrates the engineers in your company or with your customers. That's a deadly situation. Don't make our product as self-service as possible. Yeah, sure, 60% of people prefer it. That's great, it's really good. But the real reason is I don't want to hire lots of people to support you, right? If I have to scale my company, I can't do that. I can't find the perfect support person with 5 years experience with my product every 5 minutes because I'm growing my company. It doesn't work, right? So self-service, it's great. We love it, good, but it also makes our company scale. That means that we have fewer staff, more money, we get to party more with the CEO because he loves us. Help our customers reach their goals because money printer, what else? Yeah. So, yeah, good. So where am I going? I'm going to the ski jump. This is the core point of this whole presentation, is this model, right? So when I think about developer experience, developer relations, whatever you want to call it, this is what I think about. So what is this? That's the most generalized model that I have of developer experience. So if you think these little ski people traveling along are developers, right? The horizontal axis is time, right? They're clearly trying to head to this point where they're successful. What success is depends on what you're doing. It might be making money, it might be getting recognition in the community for your open source work, it might be just getting praise at work, but you have a goal over here, a thing that you want to achieve, right? And the vertical axis is developer momentum. It's how much energy you're putting into it, how prepared you are, how enthusiastic you are about it, okay? So definition number 6, DevX is the art of building the ski jump. Okay, not in the presentation. So everything that the engineer wanted to do falls into this little box down here called product. Now, this box is fundamental, right? Take it away, there's no structure here at all. And so I'm not downplaying the importance of this part. It generally isn't the thing that DevX has to do. Sometimes it is with like tool development, nice pieces around a product or supporting people internally, but it generally isn't the place where DevX puts its most effort. That's just normal software engineering and product engineering. Right? Really, really important, really, really important. but it's not the big deal in DevX, for me. Okay. Everything that the sales director wanted lives in this little box called support. Again, it's important, it has to be there, but it's not really the thing that makes a huge difference. So everything apart from product and support is about communication. Okay, so what I think of as DevRel lives over here, doing things like I'm doing right now, talking to you. Marketing and pre-sales, which isn't really my department, but I support them a little bit, and their activities live over here. What are they doing? They're motivating people. Now, whether they're motivating them directly, if it's an open source project, Prometheus, right, they're motivating people to use this product, say, okay, this will get you somewhere you want to go. It could be actually that they're talking to these guys' boss, and he's giving them a kick up the bum and saying, you're going to use this. Doesn't matter. Either way, it's giving them momentum, giving them energy to get started. Right? All these pieces are basically documentation. Tutorials, guides, reference, explanatory material. They're all documentation broken down by use cases, which is also very important. But actually, this is probably the biggest part of the effort that goes into a DevX team, in my experience. So timely and concise communication of complex ideas. That's what the game is about. If you want a developer to be successful with your software, you've got to take that model, that mindset that you have, and put it in their head. And you've got to do it in a way that doesn't make them hurt, doesn't make them want to not do it, and gets them going quickly. Right? And that's where the art is.
What happens if you motivate?
Yeah, okay, that happens. Nobody gets started, right? It's an important, I mean, we'll come back to this, but people working with internal teams as DevX often completely ignore this part. What happens? Yeah, good. So we missed something out here. Something, support's gone, right? Tutorials are gone. We're just going to miss the target, right? Their momentum's going to drop down. People get stuck, frustrated, slow down. Doesn't mean they won't finish the project, maybe, but they won't be happy about it. They won't be excited. They won't feel like they've got their big payoff.
This is a huge scope.
It is a huge scope, right? It just encompasses the whole of the product life cycle there. Okay. So, and I'm going back to that slide. Right? This is huge. This is huge. There's so much stuff here. This is like the majority of the activities involved in a company that's building software. Right? So you can't do it alone. You need to have allies across your company. And that brings me back to this. DevX is a field in which we mainly talk about what DevX is. Now, I kind of put it up as a joke before, but it's actually true. Right? A big part of what I do is not just coming here and talking to you, but it's talking to people in businesses, where I work usually, about what DevX is, why it's important, and why they should be committing time and resources to making it work. With my guidance, with my team's help, but they have to be involved too. We can't do it all on our own. Still at the end of the presentation, sorry. How am I doing for time?
You have 10 minutes.
Oh, awesome.
Actually, 7 minutes.
Okay, so no, that definition wasn't the correct definition, but it is the first step, right? Talking to people, telling them what DevX is. Every other team, they have to understand us, they won't commit to it, they won't do it. So you have to be good at that. Definition number 8, DevX is the guardian of developers as stakeholders at all stages of the product development and delivery. It ensures developers' needs are met well and their projects are swift and successful. Right, so if I think about that ski slope, what DevX does is make sure that everything that the company is doing meets the line of that ski slope, right? Bringing that all up to the standard that's required. I mentioned documentation before. I'm not going to go deep on this, but documentation is the silver bullet, the golden bullet perhaps in DevX, right? Get that right, your communication is right. Not just for external people, but internal people. So that might be the right definition. For me, it's pretty close.
How do you remember all the things?
Yeah, there's all this stuff, right? So how do I remember all of this? Well, mostly experience actually, but in the outset, I write myself some rules. And it's time for another quiz. So, Pauline, Julius, sorry?
Yeah.
Okay. You first, but if you can't get them, and I guarantee that the first one you probably won't get. Anyone in the room knows them, just shout out, otherwise we'll move on. So all you have to do, I'm going to give you some lyrics. You just have to tell me what band did it originally. Don't care about cover versions. That's all it is. Okay, good. Who is making these new brown clouds? Who is making these clouds these days?
No idea.
No idea? No one ever gets that one. Sorry?
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift, that's good.
I just throw her in
Okay, good. The answer is Frank Zappa. Okay, so we have the Frank Zappa rule. You have to advertise, even internally, especially internally, right? And why do you have to do that? I said before, nobody will use your stuff if they don't know it exists, right?
But I don't even know.
That's so untrue.
Yeah, right. So just an example, this is a real example from a previous company. But I worked doing DevX for a platform team. They thought, big company, they thought, well, we're internal, they have to use us, right? It's not true. They have competitors, real competitors. All of the big cloud platforms have their own native tooling. You're all aware of that, I'm pretty sure. Not only do they have it, they spend huge amounts of time and money trying to sell it to your company, the developers that work with you. Right? So if you're on a platform team, you are directly competing with those people all the time. Right? And there's this other problem, that developers always think that every other company does things way better than they do. Right? The grass is always green on the other side of the fence. We don't know anything. Now, I've worked at like big tech companies. I worked at Canonical, people behind Ubuntu. Everyone assumes that nobody in the company knows what they're doing, but that company over there is full of geniuses. So, grass is always greener where you water it. Advertise, talk to people, talk yourselves out. Say, look, we've built this tool. It's great. It's going to help you for this reason, this reason, this reason. Right? And if you can't build tools that are better for your own company than Amazon or Microsoft can, then you've got a serious problem. Okay, next one. Okay, I didn't know I was signaling. So, okay, it goes something like, I find it hard, it's hard to find. Michael Jackson?
I would have said Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift, Michael Jackson, anyone else?
No idea.
Wow, I'm surprised no one got that one. I must be getting old. That's Nirvana, never mind. Okay, so the Nirvana rule. Nothing is done until it's documented. Most companies have a definition of done in your processes. If it's not documented, it's not done. Doesn't matter if it's only for you and the other person who works in your team. Right? There will be a day when both of you are off and someone has to do it. There will be a day when you have a new starter, a day when you leave the company. If it's not documented, it is not done.
Slack count?
Slack does not count.
It does not count.
Most of DevX,
We'll talk about
most of DevX is getting knowledge into people's heads. Right? Documentation must exist. Right? It must be easily discovered. That's why Slack doesn't count. If you're also Wiki, yeah, where information kills itself. There's nothing wrong with Wiki. Right? Every company has a wiki these days. Nothing wrong with wikis, but nobody curates them except for Wikipedia. Right? If you want to prepare to do that kind of curation work across all the information that people want to dump into your wiki, great. Otherwise, it's a pool of data. It's dev null. Right? Search is not an answer. AI is not an answer. They both rely on you knowing what you're looking for. Structure is an answer. Defined places, well-documented structure, documents that meet use cases. So, next one.
Oh, Britney.
Yes!
Britney Spears.
1 point to Pauline.
Actually, that's someone said.
So this is that product box again, right? So actually in DevX, we don't do that much about quality control, although if you have a problem with quality control in your company, you should be addressing it as a DevX person. Quality is a DevX issue, right? So the parts that really affect us in general, being the person who represents developers as a stakeholder, especially internally in companies, it gets forgotten. Right? So we're going to have this process. It's nothing to do with development. We're going to build a new process, I don't know, to adjust the price of something. Doesn't matter what it is. Everyone talks about that and they say, oh, we've got to get someone from the legal department, they're a stakeholder. We've got to get someone from the finance department, they're a stakeholder. Salespeople, they're stakeholders. Everybody forgets that the developers who have to build this and maintain this are also stakeholders, right? And if their needs aren't taken account of, what you'll build is software that does the job, but it's unmaintainable because of all the processes you have to go through that are horrible for the engineers and slow you down, right? So being the person who stands there and says, actually, we need to structure it this way as well. We need to automate that piece rather than sending an email to someone and waiting a week for them to respond, right? All of those things need to come from DevX. Okay. Developer-specific UX. So developers want different things to normal users, right? In the normal world, we want nice, intuitive, clicky things that lead you through processes. Leading people through processes is good, right? But generally speaking, actually, when you're building stuff for software developers, the main thing you want is to have something that's scriptable. Right? You want to have something you can program against so that you can automate against it. You don't have to do it 100 times, right? That's the main thing. Having an API, it's better than just having an SDK or like a direct SDK, like a C library. Having something that's available more broadly to more languages, like an API, right? Having CLI tools that can help, it's getting more mature. It's like having a GUI on the front of this thing. That's basically, you know, it's a nice frill thing. It's a nice thing. If it's something you do once a year and you don't want to remember how to do it, fine. But if it's something you're actually doing as a developer, you don't want it. It doesn't matter. Release management. So managing your own releases, managing the releases to outside people, whether they're customers or different parts of the company, is really important. If you get it wrong, something happens, which is documentation, supporting materials get out of step with what code is released, or worse still, you don't know what code is released. You don't know what version is running here, what version is running there, and what should be documented. Doesn't say it in the slide, but a really big tip. If your documents don't match the running code, right, that's a bug. And it's a stop the line bug. Your customer, internal, external, they don't know the difference. What's right, the documentation or the program? No. Good. Okay, next quiz question.
Queen.
Queen?
Someone said-
Nice effort. Anyone else? Sorry?
Singing.
But if you try sometimes, you'll find you get what you need. Lady Gaga. Oh, we could- Mick Jagger?
Yeah.
What? The Rolling Stones. 1 point to you. Well done. You can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you get what you need. So, DX person, take a stance. Right? DX is a lot about design. Good experiences result from good design. Okay? That means you have to think about it. You have to think about the situation that your customer is going to be in and build something that matches that situation, use cases. It requires expertise as well and thought, right? What it isn't is just saying yes to the customer all the time. I guarantee you, your customers do not know what they want. Right? It is your job, if you're in the DevX world, to be there and predict that. Okay? You want to meet them with a solution that already works well. Doesn't mean you ignore them when they say that doesn't work. Right? Absolutely, you should be responding to that. But you have to work in a defined way. You have to say, this is what I know will work well. That's what you'll find from a UX designer, a good one anyway. They will test things. They will say, okay, that didn't work, let's try something else. But they start from a known position of saying, okay, this is how humans work with systems. This is the right way. This is the way. So, use case-driven documentation. The thing called Diataxis, I'm not going to explain it very much right now, but you should go and look at it. There's a great book that I have in my bag about documentation for developers that will lead you there as well. It breaks down documentation into these 4 basic categories. Okay? So, for example, where I joined my current company, they had docs called guides that encompass the whole scope of all these things. But good documentation, they explain everything. They're really hard to read because they're long and detailed. Meet the use cases that people have. These are good examples, good starting point for the use cases. Your customers may vary, but that's the knowledge that you should bring to the situation. Okay, another one. Huh?
Karate Kid.
The Karate Kid.
That's not even bad.
Do I have to sing this one as well? Okay, I have to do the voice now. Okay, so I know karate, judo too.
No idea who this is. That's definitely not Taylor.
Not Frank Zappa, not Taylor Swift. It's Tom Waits. Have you seen the movie Fight Club? It's in that song. Good. So what do I mean is, human psychology is a martial art. Okay? So if you know it, You can understand how motivation works. You learn about design for dopamine, which is something you'll read about in UX. And you'll learn about flow, which is a condition you might have heard about, which is where people get into a state where they're able to produce huge amounts of work continuously in a nice kind of semi-euphoric state. I don't have time to explain how that works right now. It's a really interesting topic. If you can get your customers to be there, at least sometimes, then you've won. Learn about UX in general as well. Okay. One more, this is a quick one. I don't want to talk about it. Nobody has the same Queen. It's by a band called Crazy Horse, originally. Doesn't matter. Optimized for self-service. We talked about that before. The well-being engineer. You have something to say?
Oh shit.
Oh shit.
60% of people prefer it.
Yes, we've heard that before. The sales director.
It scales better.
It does. 2 points we made before. It's fine. Another band, quickly. Didn't know I was lost till I found you.
Oh, yeah. That's not Taylor Swift.
No,
No. Yeah, I'm not sure. I only listen to Taylor Swift.
I'm clearly too old. Okay, so this is Madonna. I made it through the wilderness. Somehow I made it
yeah, of
through.
course.
Didn't know I was lost until I found you. Okay, so the Madonna rule is when you do support, do it passionately. Okay, so well-meaning engineer.
Taking time and care with people impresses them.
It does, right? So you don't want to do support, but you have to do support because if it's not there when they fall through everything else, that's the end of the game, right? Then they can't help them anymore. They're not going anywhere. You've lost your developers. So you have to do it. And you have to do it really, really well. You have to take time and care. You have to have people dedicated to that task.
Self-service means support is a rare and pleasurable experience.
That. If you can scale your company through self-service, then you can have a small team of support people who are really good at what they do, don't feel pressured for time, and can really work with people to help them out, right? Which is important because the problems that engineers have are complicated. They're not things you can usually just correct for a couple of seconds. And if they are, they should be automated. So, when you believe in things you don't understand, then you suffer. Anyone? Stevie Wonder, Superstition. Awesome song. Okay, the Stevie Wonder rule, the most important rule, where all this started from. Measure twice, cut once, right? You have to understand what you're doing. The well-meaning engineer says,
Empathy, set an engineer to catch an engineer.
yes, right? You need people with engineering experience to understand what engineers want. You can have all sorts of people around you, technical writers, marketeers, everyone in your company, right? But you need engineers to actually understand what engineers want. You have to have empathy with the situation. Well-meaning engineer again.
Look for slow spots on schedule. Frustrated developers are. By the way, Geoff, in 5 minutes.
Okay, still? Okay, good.
Wrap up.
Good, wrap up. Okay, we're nearly there. Look for slow stops. So there are all kinds of metrics that you can use. There's things like time to first call, time to hello world, depending on what you're doing. You can look for any part of the process. You can do value stream analysis. You can see where people are getting stuck. Those are places where you need to spend your time and attention because, as I said before, where you slow people down, they work around you, they want to get rid of you. Well-meaning sales director.
Customer feedback is a powerful tool. Check your NPS scores.
Yeah. Oopsie, indeed. I don't mind or care if you know what an NPS score is. You can look it up. Essentially, it's basically just going and asking people how they feel about what you've done. Really hard to get good statistics about how people are feeling about your work, and the best way is still just to go and ask them. You can quantify it a little bit, but yeah. So, and the final thing, create a virtuous circle, right? Every time something comes through to support, that means something's failed in your developer experience, right? So that means that your response to that should be, yeah, work with the customer, fix the problem, great, but also make sure that one of the endpoints is to say, what caused this to happen, and how do we fix that so it doesn't keep happening?
What about these slides?
Screen. There. Do you ever play this in songs? Does anyone care? Yeah, I do. It's over there.
Amazing.
Amazing.
End of presentation for real this time.
And that's where you can find Jeff.
It is.
Okay.
Also just kidding.
Cool.
Thank you.
so much. Before we all like get up and eat the pizza, I'm gonna switch the light off, so just mentally prepare for that.
Oh,
Sorry, we all have to do.
these ones?
Okay.
Yeah.
Before we get into the pizza, we have more people join, so I'm gonna retake the selfie. Sorry.
I'm also taking.
You better take it
from
Thank
that
you.
corner.
It's
Okay. Can you, Julius, can you sit there? And Jeff, can you sit there?
sit where?
Sit there, so I can retake the selfie.
Oh, okay, okay.